So it's interesting to take a look at this in light of what we were just talking about the housing market and the economy. These are the three things that Charlie Kirk wanted for young people today as President Trump tries to tackle some of these issues. Watch.
4 years ago, the average income to be able to buy a home in this country was $59,000 a year. Now it requires $106,000 a year to buy a home. This is one of the reasons why I personally support President Donald Trump's candidacy. This was not the case when he was president. Homeownership was in your grasp, wages were going up, young people saw their livelihood increasing, and Joe Biden has destroyed all of that. Well, I want three very basic things for every one of you. I don't care about your politics. I want you to be able to get married, have kids, and own a home. Those three things should be in the very basic social contract for Gen Z.
Keep in mind that the average age for the first-time home buyer now is 40. In the 80s, most people bought their first home in their late 20s. Let's bring in Andrew Kolvet, executive producer of The Charlie Kirk Show and Turning Point USA spokesperson. He and Charlie were close friends. Andrew, good to see you. Thank you. It's good to have you back on the program. I actually want to start with going back to July 11th of this year. This was post-election, and Charlie was really sort of raising the alarms about this issue in July as well. Watch this.
The younger voters that delivered the White House for President Trump, they can't afford homes. They're increasingly renting. They're not getting married. They're not having children. So there's two ways this can go. An optimistic, patriotic vision like President Trump is offering, or a very dark and sinister vision, one that is anti-Western, anti-American, anti-civilization, which you're seeing from Abdul and Zohran Mamdani.
So these are exactly the two forces that we see battling right now, Andrew, and it's the emergence of an even larger group that is coming to Turning Point events that wants the things that Charlie talked about, and then this rising of socialist leadership in some of the biggest cities in the country.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Martha. And I'm so passionate about this issue. Charlie and I shared this passion, and we talked a lot about it. And we saw that the road diverge in the wood, so to speak. That you had Mamdaniism on one side, which is grievance-driven politics, a zero-sum game, believing that some are going to have and some will not have as long as we have rich people in this country. And then there is a optimistic, a nationalist, populist, conservative view of the future, which I believe President Trump embodies perfectly and J.D. Vance embodies, which is saying, hey, we can put our nation first and people can have a stake in this system. They can buy into the American dream again. And yeah, we call it the three M's. Charlie and I would always say the three M's: marriage, mortgage, and mating. We want people to get married. We want them to be able to afford a home, and we want them to be able to afford a family. And as you said, in the 80s, people were doing this in their late 20s. And now we've got the average first-time home buyer at 40. Just in 2021, Martha, that age was at 33. That was at 33. So we've seen since COVID, these numbers just absolutely shoot through the roof, and it's not good for the future of the country. And I think this is underlying a lot of this political tension that we're all experiencing. We can see what happened in New York, and it's going to keep spreading unless we address the root causes of affordability for the next generation.
And what are those? How do you fix it?
Well, I agree with J.D. Vance. I believe we've got to get a handle on immigration. I would go one step further and just say we've also got to get a handle on legal immigration. We're giving out 1 to 1.2 million green cards a year, and we've been doing that since 1990. And we've got to start asking ourselves, do we need to keep doing that? You've got AI, you've got robotics, you've got automation coming down the pike, and we know that that's going to displace a lot of entry-level jobs, analyst positions, those jobs that new grads rely on to get into their career. And those are going to start drying up in some fields, and there's going to be economic displacement. So we've got to ask ourselves a lot of questions. The H-1B debate that's currently happening, we want to make sure that this country maintains its social compact for this generation of Gen Zers that want to be able to buy a home. Martha, every time we would visit a college campus, and Charlie would say, who wants to buy a home? All the hands would shoot up. So we have to get a solution, and we have to do it fast.
Yeah, we just watched those TikTokers talking about living in their parents' basement, and that's not a bright future. That's not what I don't think anybody wants, either the parents or the kids at this point. Andrew Kolvet, thank you. Great to see you as always.